Night falls over the city as tall buildings glow with artificial lights, but the scene is far from peaceful. Fire spreads through the streets, smoke rises between the buildings, and urban chaos no longer feels unusual. In the middle of it all, a van cuts through the wet avenues, speeding forward as if it's used to this kind of emergency. Which, honestly, seems to be the case. Inside, the atmosphere is heavy. A news broadcast echoes, reporting that South Korean hunters have once again failed to clear Level 6 portal. It's not the first time. And judging by the tone, no one expects it to be the last. The report recalls how they used to be comparable to Japanese S-rank hunters. But now, well, reality is far less impressive. Meanwhile, online comments flood in, criticizing without mercy. People say the country is being humiliated, that others will mock them, that no one takes them seriously anymore. Nothing new. Just another round of public judgment. Inside the van, the hunters listen to all of this. One of them remarks that the rivalry between Korea and Japan has been especially intense lately. Another complains about the absurd level of investment that yields no results. Still, someone insists there might be hope in the new talents. The so-called promising rookies. It's that kind of forced optimism, you know? That's when the focus shifts to a young man sitting quietly wearing headphones. This is Seo Yul, the head of the rescue department. Our guy. He doesn't seem interested in the discussions or the criticism. His focus is elsewhere. Mission in progress. Active emergency. Nothing else matters. The driver tries to strike up a conversation, calling him too rigid. But Seo Yul shuts it down effortlessly. To him, all hunters are the same in the end. Meanwhile, another group. Likely public officials involved in the operation. Laments their situation. Always the first to enter dangerous scenarios, always the most exposed. The narration makes it clear, this is their reality. Administrative hunters. An organization made up mostly of mid-level individuals, divided into three main sectors: vanguard, surveillance, and rescue. When something goes wrong inside a portal, they're the ones sent in to fix it. And that's exactly what's happening now. The scene shifts inside an unstable portal. Monstrous creatures advance, and chaos takes shape. Seo Yul appears in action, protecting both civilians and other hunters. He's not just another member of the team. He has a specific role. His eyes glow with purple energy as a powerful aura manifests around him. Something different, something rare. He doesn't fight using just brute strength or conventional techniques. He is a seeker. And as the team approaches a massive portal glowing in intense shades of orange, the mission is clear. Rescue members of an elite guild trapped inside. No guarantees. No time to waste. The hunters prepare, tension in the air, hands steady on their weapons. One of them shouts to stay focused. Another reminds them not to let their guard down. And just as everything seems ready to begin, a voice emerges. Calm, almost casual, as if it were completely out of place. Someone is watching the group and comments that they've been working hard. The problem is simple. No one there should be saying that. The mysterious voice finally takes form. A man with a calm demeanor, almost too elegant for such a chaotic setting, approaches the group and directly calls them rescue workers, as if he were evaluating merchandise. Our guy, Seo Yul, remains silent, observing. Another team member realizes immediately. This man is not here by coincidence. The narration reveals who he is. Baek Jun-won, a high-ranking executive of the Overcross Guild. And by all indications, not exactly a man of character. The type who sends weaker guilds into dangerous portals without a second thought, as long as profit comes afterward. Money above all. Lives optional. He steps closer with a faint smile, offering help as if it were a generous gesture. But no one there buys it. Seo Yul, as direct as ever, cuts him off without hesitation. He basically makes it clear that this problem exists because of him, and yet he still has the nerve to show up pretending to be a savior. The response is blunt. They don't need his help. Baek's smile doesn't disappear. It just changes. A little thinner, a little colder. He makes a simple remark. calling it a shame, and watches as the team moves forward. Like someone observing a show whose ending he already knows, and then the scene shifts abruptly. Inside the portal, the situation is critical. The environment is dense, almost suffocating, covered in strange vegetation and unstable energy. A group of hunters is cornered. One of them, severely injured, can barely stay conscious while a young woman desperately tries to keep him alive. She explains that she already sent out an emergency request. Now all that's left is to wait and hope they don't die before help arrives. But their time is up. Grotesque creatures approach. One of them lunges first. Fast. Brutal. The girl freezes for a second. Long enough to be killed. But that doesn't happen. In the blink of an eye, an attack cuts through the air. An electric impact tears through the creature, sending it flying back with overwhelming force. The energy vibrates through the environment, completely interrupting the attack. The scene freezes for a moment. And then he appears. Seo Yul steps in among them, weapon in hand, posture firm, as if this were just another day on the job. Behind him, the rescue team takes position, instantly forming a defensive line. He looks at the survivor, extends his hand, and asks, simply, almost casually, if she's okay. No drama, no speech, just efficiency. And as the girl tries to process the fact that she's still alive, reality finally sets in. Rescue has arrived. But considering who was watching everything from the outside, one question remains. Is it really over? The tension barely has time to settle before it explodes again. One of the hunters calls out to Seo Yul, warning that ghouls are swarming in from the same path they came through. Great. The escape route has turned into a death corridor. And, as always, that complicates everything. Our guy doesn't waste time. His eyes sharpen, the energy around him vibrates, and a command emerges almost like a whisper in the air. He activates a skill, something like a silent wave. Suddenly, the world changes for him. Sounds take shape. Vibrations turn into maps. He literally begins to perceive the environment through sound. While the others only see a chaotic maze, Seo Yul is already several steps ahead. He analyzes the dungeon structure in real time, tracking paths, identifying open spaces, viable routes. And then he finds it, an alternate exit. He opens his eyes straight to the point. He's already got a route. No discussion. The team reacts instantly. Blind trust? Maybe, but it's enough. They move. Carrying the injured, escorting the survivors, the group rushes through the corridors while creatures keep spawning behind them. The rescued girl still hesitates, questioning whether that path is actually safe, which, honestly, is a pretty valid concern. One of the hunters responds almost automatically, saying that even though their seeker is only D rank, he has one of the best sensory abilities in the country. Basically, if anyone can get them out, it's him, but something doesn't add up. The creatures don't stop coming. In fact, they're increasing, multiplying, and that breaks the pattern. Seo Yul notices first. The path is correct. It does lead to the exit. But there's a problem. The monsters know it too. The perspective pulls back slightly, revealing the bigger picture. Ghouls aren't exactly geniuses. They don't set coordinated ambushes. They don't block escape routes with precision, unless something is controlling them. And when the scene reveals a group of creatures with uniformly glowing eyes, moving like a coordinated army, the conclusion comes sharp and direct. This isn't natural behavior. There's a necromancer behind it. And just like that, this simple rescue mission stops being simple. Suddenly, everything clicks in Seo Yul's mind. A warning surfaces almost like a materialized instinct. His sixth sense is active. That uneasy feeling he had been ignoring now makes perfect sense. It's not just a hunch. Someone is there. Someone controlling the ghouls from nearby. Our guy confirms it without hesitation. There is a controller. And as if the dungeon itself decides to respond, the ground trembles, purple energy spreads, and the presence reveals itself. The dungeon boss. A massive magical formation ignites beneath the group's feet, glowing lines forming a perfect circle. One of the hunters recognizes it instantly. It's a magic circle. And not the decorative kind. Seo Yul reacts instantly, shouting for everyone to get out. No hesitation. No backup plan. Just move. But it's already too late. The magic activates. Energy pulses, restraining, distorting movement. A cruel warning practically echoes through the situation. Their speed has been restricted. And in the middle of the chaos, one of the hunters is struck and thrown back, clearly unable to keep up anymore. Panic begins to rise, but Seo Yul stays focused. He says he'll get everyone out. He still believes that. But the injured hunter realizes the truth before anyone else. He yells at Seo Yul to leave him behind and run. A direct request. No heroics. Just survival logic. Seo Yul refuses. Of course he does. Meanwhile, the others hold the monsters at the front line, buying time with everything they have. One of them begs their leader to take the group and leave while they still can. The tension hits its peak. The wounded man looks at Seo Yul and apologizes, as if he's already made his decision. But Seo Yul doesn't accept that. Not for a second. He looks at his teammate with that almost irritating calm and basically tells him to cut the nonsense. He has no intention of dying there. Simple as that. Then he turns. The magic field still pulses beneath his feet. The creatures close in. Purple energy vibrates through the air, and Seo Yul finally faces the real problem. He's already figured everything out. This was never just an ambush. It's been a game from the very beginning, and staring directly at the source of that invisible manipulation, he lets the thought slip with unsettling precision. Someone has been playing with them from the start. The presence finally reveals itself completely. Before them stands a grotesque and imposing figure wrapped in dark energy, with elongated horns and a smile that belongs to nothing human. The name echoes like a sentence. Karakul, the dungeon boss. Not just a monster, but the conductor of all that chaos. He watches Seo Yul with interest, almost amused. He comments that this was the plan from the beginning, but admits a slight surprise. Our guy managed to escape better than expected. Then comes the question, laced with curiosity, about how he knows the temple so well. Seo Yul responds in his own way. No fear, no submission. He even suggests he might tell, if he's allowed to live. A bargaining attempt. Half provocative, half strategic. Karakul laughs. Doesn't buy it for a second. To him, the answer is simple. First, turn Seo Yul into a ghoul. Then listen to whatever he has to say. Efficient. And then the attack comes. A purple energy invades Seo Yul's body, spreading like poison. A near-mechanical warning manifests. He's been cursed. His vitality starts dropping. Fast. The pain is immediate. Brutal. He screams, his body failing, his consciousness wavering. For a moment, he hesitates. A thought crosses his mind. Was all of that just a useless bluff? Maybe if he had begged for help, he could have survived. Could have made it out. But he shuts that idea down himself. No, that's not who he is. Images flash through his mind. Hunters who prioritize money while others die. A world where saving lives has become secondary. And in the middle of it all, the memory of someone. A hunter. Someone who saved him when he was younger. Someone who apologized for not being able to save everyone. That stayed with him. That's the kind of person he chose to become. A hunter who protects the weak, an administrative hunter. And that's why, even with his body failing, even with death practically guaranteed, he refuses. He's not going to die there. The decision hits like a shock. He cannot die there. And then everything activates at once. Silent wave. Sixth sense. And something else. A synesthesia-like ability. The world explodes into perception. Energy courses through his body, connecting everything around him. Sound, vibration, magical flow. Everything turns into information. He launches himself upward, analyzing the entire dungeon in a single expanded instant. He's no longer just reacting. He's searching. Desperately. Anything. Any weakness. Any way out. And in the middle of that intense analysis, with his body on the verge of collapse and a boss watching his every move, Seo Yul begins to find something. In the middle of the physical collapse and the crushing pressure from the boss, Seo Yul forces his mind to keep working. He scans the dungeon with everything he has. Every vibration, every sound, every fragment of energy, until he finds something strange. A small possibility, almost insignificant, a point different. While everything around him pulses with hostile energy, there's one specific object glowing in a distinct way. A gravestone, isolated, emitting an energy that doesn't match the rest of the environment. Our guy locks his gaze on it for a second, because honestly, it makes no sense at all. And then comes the confirmation. A notification appears cold and direct. He has discovered records about a hidden class. For a moment, even he hesitates. A hidden class? Here? Now. Meanwhile, Karakul isn't interested in waiting. He praises Seo Yul's endurance, almost bored, and decides to end it. The creature moves forward, dark energy condensing in its hands, ready to finish things. But the system keeps going. A new option appears in front of Seo Yul, as if offering an impossible way out. Switch to a hidden class. Labyrinth designer. The timing couldn't be more absurd, or more perfect. Seo Yul understands instantly. This isn't a reward. It's a gamble. All or nothing. With no time to think, his body being torn apart second by second, he makes the most dangerous decision possible. He accepts. Energy erupts. The ground reacts. The space around them fractures. And the entire dungeon begins to distort as if it's being rewritten in real time. The system confirms. The class change quest has been accepted, and the tutorial is about to begin. Yes, tutorial. In the middle of a boss fight, the environment transforms completely, turning into an impossible structure filled with blocks, layers, and overlapping paths. Like a living labyrinth assembling itself before everyone's eyes. Karakul stops, confused for the first time. He looks around, trying to understand what just happened. The target simply vanished. And then the scene cuts to Seo Yul, now in a different, isolated space. In front of him, an interface appears showing his current status. Level 10, attributes set, skills like Sixth Sense and Silent Wave still active, but now with something new in progress. A change, still incomplete, still unstable, but enough to turn the tide. And while the boss tries to figure out where his opponent went, the real question begins to form. What kind of hunter is Seo Yul about to become? The silence finally replaces the chaos. Seo Yul finds himself sitting, breathing heavily, staring at the interface in front of him as he tries to process what just happened. And then comes the first realization. His old class, Observer, has simply disappeared. Gone. As if it never existed. Our guy slightly furrows his brow, trying to organize his thoughts. He wonders if this counts as an awakening, a reawakening. But looking around at that strange, artificial, almost empty space, the answer seems more obvious than he'd like. This isn't the real world. It's the tutorial area. Without much time to dwell on it, a new window appears in front of him, explaining the rules. The mission is straightforward. Eliminate 20 ghouls that have invaded the labyrinth within 24 hours. The reward? Full transition to the Labyrinth Designer class, incorporating the defeated monsters into the labyrinth itself. The penalty? Failure means losing everything. Simple. Brutal. No margin for error. Seo Yul absorbs the information quickly. He understands the basics, but something catches his attention. The map function. And the moment he focuses on it, the system responds. A map projects in front of him. Three-dimensional, clear, almost too intuitive. Our guy observes it, analyzing calmly. A green dot marks his current position. The red dots, scattered throughout the labyrinth, represent the ghouls. Clearly identified threats. He connects the pieces almost instantly. The mission isn't just about surviving. It's about hunting. Using the map, tracking, eliminating all of them within the time limit. It might sound absurd, but for someone like him, a seeker, it makes sense. Seo Yul crosses his arms for a second, evaluating the challenge. His body still aches, the situation is still extreme, but his mind has already shifted into the right mode. Total focus. Without further hesitation, he accepts reality. Adjusts his posture, steady gaze, and with a simple determination. Direct, almost too calm for someone in his situation, he decides it's time to begin. Without wasting a second, Seo Yul moves into action. The labyrinth still pulses around him, unstable, as if it's being written in real time, but our guy doesn't care. He's already hunting. A ghoul charges. Fast, aggressive, fangs bared. Yul responds at the same pace. One clean strike. Focused energy. The creature drops before it even understands what happened. No pause. No wasted movement. Notifications appear. First kill confirmed. Then another. And another. The pace picks up. Soon, only 4 remain. He takes a deep breath, feeling his body grow heavier. The constant fighting is taking its toll. He even admits, slightly irritated, that he needs to move faster. This tutorial isn't as easy as it first seemed, but he adapts. First, he grabs a weapon from one of the defeated ghouls. Nothing fancy, but useful. Then he activates his map reading again, refining his perception of the space even further. And then, something shifts. He starts seeing patterns. The number of ghouls is decreasing, but not randomly. There's a logic to it, a flow. And that leads to an important conclusion. If things keep going like this, he can finish within the time limit. But there's a problem. The one controlling the ghouls is still out there. Seo Yul studies the map more carefully. Unlike the other markers, there's a specific target moving on its own, isolated, distinct. Most likely the one responsible. He considers his options. Go straight for it, or keep clearing the ghouls. But it's not that simple. Even alone, there's no guarantee of victory against that kind of enemy. So he shifts his strategy. Instead of a direct confrontation, he decides to weaken the field first. Eliminate the ghouls. Buy time. Then fight. As he thinks this through, more creatures appear, blocking his path. He faces the group ahead. Several at once, not ideal, but also not impossible. He moves anyway. Fast, precise strikes, one after another. He clears a path while keeping his mind working. And then, in the middle of the fight, a new realization hits him. The labyrinth isn't just a setting. It's his. And if it's his, then he can use it. An idea starts to form. If he can control the space, manipulate the structure, then maybe he doesn't even need to fight in the traditional way. Maybe he can turn the entire situation around. He looks at the map again, more focused than ever. First, he needs to eliminate as many ghouls as possible. Then, he'll use the labyrinth itself against the enemy. Because in the end, this is no longer a test of strength. It's a game of control. And Seo Yul just realized he might be the only player with access to the entire board. The pace spikes even further. One of the ghouls faces Seo Yul, clearly surprised he made it this far. Our guy answers the only way he knows. No words, just action. He's already realized those monsters aren't just attacking. They're being coordinated. And that confirms everything. Without hesitation, he moves forward. The labyrinth responds with him. Structures shift, paths adjust, and the ghouls begin to lose ground. For the first time, they're not hunting. They're being hunted. Seo Yul moves like he's fought there hundreds of times. He uses the terrain, forces openings, traps enemies in bad angles. One strike, another. Blue energy slices through the air. Bodies drop, one by one, until only one remains. The last ghoul tries to resist, but there's no room left for mistakes. Seo Yul approaches, energy focused along the blade, and finishes it with a direct, clean, decisive strike. No spectacle, just efficiency. Silence. And then, as expected, the system responds. Tutorial complete. The hidden class is officially unlocked. Labyrinth Designer. Control over the labyrinth is now absolute. Every defeated creature becomes part of its structure. The dungeon, in a way, belongs to him. A new option appears. Exit. And in the very next instant, the world shifts again. The sound of rain returns. The smell of the city. The weight of reality. Seo Yul reappears exactly where it all began. His companions are there, confused, calling out to him. To them, he simply vanished for a few seconds. But to him, it was a lifetime compressed into an instant. Someone comments that he came back at the right time. Another, more suspicious, asks what he was planning to do on his own. Seo Yul ignores them. No time to explain. No interest in discussing it. He simply tells them to finish the report and move on. But something has changed. As he walks through the city, he discreetly activates his new ability. A small sphere forms. An artificial space, unstable, like a fragment of the labyrinth brought into the real world. A test. proof. He observes it carefully. He's still learning, still doesn't fully control it. But he understands enough. This power isn't just for fighting inside dungeons. He can bring the dungeon outside. And when the system confirms that he can create labyrinths, manipulate structures, and use them strategically, the conclusion comes easily. This power is absurd. Of course, there are limitations. He still needs to grow, get stronger, expand his range. But the potential is there, clear as day. Seo Yul closes his hand, dispersing the energy. Now it's not just about surviving anymore. It's about evolving. The scene slows down completely. Out of combat, no monsters, no system shouting, just an almost normal moment. Seo Yul walks beside Yeon-hee, who's clearly still trying to figure out what she's feeling. She tries to act casual, making small talk, even mentioning that she wanted to thank him properly. Maybe even invite him to grab something to eat. Our guy? Zero social awareness. He answers in a dry, straightforward way, practically ignoring the hint, and keeps walking. Yeon-hee is left there, slightly stunned, clearly disappointed. It's that classic moment where someone tries to create a vibe, and the other person just doesn't notice anything. They keep walking until she brings up school. The atmosphere shifts slightly. For her, everything seems the same. Normal. But for Seo Yul, no, something is wrong. Before the conversation can continue, a sound cuts through the air. Screams. Commotion. People running. And then they see it. A crowd gathered, emergency teams on site, visible tension. A portal has opened inside the school. And not just any portal. It's been active for too long. Unstable. Dangerous. Yeon-hee panics immediately. A friend of hers is still inside. Without thinking, she tries to rush forward, but she's stopped. The area is sealed off. Seo Yul watches everything in silence for a second, and then makes a decision. He identifies himself as a member of the rescue department, and simply decides to go in. The agents try to stop him. They say it's suicide, that the portal has been active for too long, that even a high-level guild failed there. But that only reinforces his point. If they couldn't do it, someone has to try. And apparently that someone is him. Without waiting for permission, Seo Yul steps through the entrance. Inside, the scene is exactly what he expected. Chaos. Destroyed hallways, unstable energy, monsters spreading, a dungeon break in progress. He activates Sixth Sense immediately, cutting off all distractions. Total focus. And then, he does something new. Something that completely changes the game. A sphere begins to form in his hand. Small, compact, unstable. A fragment of the labyrinth. Creates sphere. Monsters rush in. Fast, hungry. Seo Yul simply throws the sphere. Space distorts. And in the next instant, the ghouls are swallowed, pulled into that artificial mini-labyrinth. Trapped. Isolated. Neutralized without direct combat. Just like that. He watches the result for a second. Even he looks slightly impressed. This power isn't normal. And as more creatures begin to appear, ready to attack, Seo Yul simply adjusts his stance, energy swirling around his hand once again. Now there's no doubt. He's not playing by the old rules anymore. Because the Seo Yul of now is the master of the labyrinth. The goblins charge as a group. But not chaotically. There's pattern, there's intent. Red eyes glow in the darkness as they surround the corridor, testing, pressuring, like predators that have learned how to hunt humans. Seo Yul doesn't step back. The air vibrates around him, the blue sphere spinning in his palm like a living core. Every movement he makes is calculated, every step already predicted before it even happens. One goblin leaps first. Fast, aggressive. Too late. The strike cuts through the air with absurd precision. The creature's body is thrown against the wall before the others even understand what happened. Another comes from the side. Seo Yul turns, barely looking, and the blade slices through the exact space where the enemy was about to step. He's not just fighting, He's controlling the field. The maps floating around him show everything: positions, routes, attack patterns. For the goblins, this is still a fight. For him, it's already a solved game.